Us for our Durham County Board of Commissioners regular session this Monday night, April 29th, 2024. I'll get us started with the public charge. The Board of Commissioners asks its members and citizens to conduct themselves in a respectful, courteous manner, both with the board and fellow citizens. At any time, should any member of the board or any citizen fail to observe this public charge, the chair will ask the offending person to leave the meeting until that individual regains personal control. Should decorum fail to be restored, the chair will recess the meeting until such time that a genuine commitment to the public charge is observed. And now for our land acknowledgement. As we convene for the Durham County Commissioners meeting, it is crucial to recognize the painful truth of our history, that we stand on the stolen ancestral lands of the Catawba, Eno, Occaneechi, Shakori, and Tuscarora peoples, whose deep connection to this land predates our arrival. We acknowledge with humility the unjust displacement and violence that occurred, leading to the dispossession of indigenous peoples from their homelands. Their resilience in the face of such adversity is a testament to their strength and spirit. May we humbly honor the ancestors and elders of these nations, both past and present, by committing ourselves to fostering understanding, healing, and justice for all who inhabit this land. Let us walk forward together with open hearts, acknowledging the past and embracing a future guided by compassion, respect, and unity. As a courtesy to others, please turn off your all cell phones during the meeting. And I will ask for Commissioner Howerton to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I will ask if there are any adjustments to the agenda at this time. Seeing none, I will pass it along to our clerk for announcements.
Good evening, everyone. I'll read the announcements that are published in tonight's agenda. Second Annual Regional Black Maternal and Infant Health Conference, co-hosted in Durham on tomorrow, April 30th. This gathering brings together a diverse array of stakeholders, healthcare professionals, policymakers, researchers, advocates, parents, and community leaders, all committed to addressing the disparities in maternal and infant health outcomes within the Black community. From cross-disciplinary collaborations to grassroots initiatives, this conference highlights the importance of a collective commitment to prioritizing the voices, perspectives, and needs of Black birthing persons. Join us as we strengthen bonds, forge new partnerships, and chart a course toward equitable health outcomes in our communities and beyond. Visit Broadening Our Reach. It is ahec.org to register. There is limited space available. And again, this conference is tomorrow, April 30th. Durham Public Schools Summer Meals Site Opportunity. DPS provides summer meals countywide from June 17th through July 26th. Our most successful programs are when we're in partnership with community groups already gathering children and youth aged 0 to 18 years together for summer activities. DPS provides the food, breakfast, and/or lunch, and the program training. You provide the activities and the fun. If you have or know about a community group that would like to serve free summer meals to kids, please visit www.dpsnc.net or contact Sky Harris. She's the DPS School Nutrition Program Specialist. Contact number is 919-560-2370. Or you can email linda.harris@dpsnc.net. Foster parent recruitment. April is Foster Care Month, an opportunity to honor the courage of young people in the foster care system. It is also a time to shed light on the need for safe temporary care for children who are unable to remain safely in their homes. If you have a safe and nurturing home and have the willingness to collaborate with others to support the needs of children in foster care, consider changing the life of a child by becoming a foster parent with the Durham County Department of Social Services. You can contact 919-560-8092 or email fosterdreams@dconc.gov for additional information. Durham County Community Health Assessment. Read about Durham's top health issues amongst many other important topics written by subject matter experts throughout our community in the recent released Durham County Community Health Assessment. The assessment uses high-quality, reliable data to provide a clear and detailed picture of the health assets, and needs of Durham County residents in order to equitably guide decision-making, create programs, and policies to improve health outcomes. The health assessment is available on the Partnership for a Healthy Durham webpage, and that site is listed in the agenda. Durham This Week Online. Did you know the Durham County Manager's Office releases a newsletter, Durham This Week Online, that provides weekly updates on county services, news items, video releases, job listings, and more. You can subscribe today to receive the weekly communication directly to your inbox, and there is a link. Alert Durham. Summer is almost here. Severe weather outbreaks, such as strong thunderstorms, extreme heat, and flooding can come along with the summer as well. Durham County residents are invited to sign up for Alert Durham to receive emergency notifications about severe weather, unexpected road closures, missing persons, evacuations of buildings or neighborhoods, and more to keep you informed. Visit alertdurham.com to sign up for free today. And lastly, get involved as your county. Durham County government has approximately 43 active advisory boards, referred to as boards and commissions. Citizens of Durham County may volunteer to participate by applying for a vacancy. Interested citizens should fill out an application and send it to the clerk to the board's office. A description of the boards as well as a list of vacancies can be found on the county's website as well. That concludes the announcements in tonight's agenda.
Thank you, Clerk Wallace. And just going off of that last item that you announced about the advisory board, just want to give another special thank you to all the amazing volunteers who've been serving on our advisory boards. We just had our volunteer appreciation event, and it really means a great deal to not just our Board of Commissioners, but to our entire Durham County staff team to have y'all lending your expertise, knowledge, and time to support us in serving Durham County. I will now ask the board if there's any other, Vice Chair Burns.
I have two. The first one for announcements, there will be a FAFSA Dine and Do event. A FAFSA Dine and Do. The Academic Success Alliance is hosting a FAFSA completion event on April 30th from 5:30 to 8 p.m. That will be and I'll get this to the manager, and they will have translation services available. It will be at the Community Family Life and Recreation Center at Lions Park, located at 1309 Haley Street. The reason why I throw that out, back in my day, the FAFSA would have already been due by now, but they have kicked the can on that, and the FAFSA is now due in June 30th, 2025. You might be asking yourself, like, why? Nationally, while we would have thought at this point 65 million kids would have applied, only 17 million kids have applied. Right now, North Carolina is ranked 25th to 29th, depending upon what you look at, in the nation for FAFSA completion. It is believed that we leave $125 million on the table in Pell Grant funding in North Carolina alone. Tennessee is ranked number one. Reason why they're ranked number one, it is a requirement to graduate in the state of Tennessee for you to fill out the FAFSA. So again, I'm looking at some of the young people, they appalled. I'm looking at you, Nicodemus, you're like, they just left the money on the table? because he's still a student. But yeah, just so you know, there's a FAFSA dine and do. So they're going to feed you and help you fill out your FAFSA. So again, that will be tomorrow. I will get this to the clerk from 5:30 to 8 p.m. at the Community Family Life and Recreation Center. And for those of you all who didn't know, the Durham Center for Senior Life celebrate their 75th anniversary this weekend. If there's a senior in your life that's looking to have a good time and not be around young people, that is the place for them. I really enjoyed myself. They have a million events going on each day, so please check them out so that they can continue to do 75 more years of really great work in this community. And those are my only two announcements. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Burns. Commissioner Jacobs?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to follow up on what we do have on our announcements related to summer meals, and I'm looking at Donna here. I tried to forward today an email that you had sent out, Donna, about the Sunbucks program, and I was not, every time I tried to forward it, I couldn't forward the attachment to our clerk because it's really important that parents in Durham understand that there is a one-time payment of $120 in food assistance per eligible child. This is a new federal program, and we want to make sure that every single family that is eligible does not miss out on this extra money for food this summer. So, Donna, I'm going to ask you if you could send it directly to Deborah and Monica so that we can get this out to the community. And the other thing I wanted to share was, I know Commissioner Howerton and I both were at Raleigh Union Station this morning for Rail Day, which was really exciting because we are the third largest recipient of federal railway administration funding in the United States, over $1 billion for what's called the S line, and it's happening. That's what we learned about this morning, is that money is going out to a lot of businesses right now who are doing the environmental study, who are they doing the planning, the designing, and the so that is in motion, which will be a faster rail connection between Raleigh and Wake Forest that will then go directly up to DC. And also the great news is that we submitted 12 corridors to the Federal Railway Administration, and North Carolina got 7 out of the 12 accepted, more than any other state in the United States. And Durham is in at least one of those corridors that is being studied. So this is also very exciting for us because the S line starts in Charlotte and goes through Durham, and then we'll go up the East Coast and then down the East Coast, but also the corridor study is also really important for us. So just wanted to share that exciting news of what's happening in our region and our state.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacobs. Commissioner Howerton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to chime in on that as well. It was a good meeting this morning, and one of the things that I came away with is the conversation for regional, and the fact that if you know any of the legislators, have conversation with them. I think we have excluded rural communities over the years when we talk about transit, and I think we've missed out on a lot of opportunities. So if you know anybody, it doesn't matter whether they're Republican or Democrat, we need to talk to all of them so that whoever they are, they can get on board so that we have regional, so that you're not sitting in traffic, so any of us not sitting in traffic for hours trying to get where we need to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Howerton. And I actually remembered two that I had. There are 2 advocacy days coming up at the state legislature, just in case there's any individuals who are impacted directly or indirectly on May 7th, or May 7th, is the North Carolina Coalition on Aging, which I believe DSS is also a part of, is having an advocacy day at the state legislature to advocate for aging adults and services and resources for our residents in these communities. So if you're able to participate, that'll be happening all day at the General Assembly. And then same for another demographic, on May 16th, there's Child Care for NC Advocacy Day, where there's going to be child caregivers and parents joining at the state legislature to advocate the legislature, especially during this short session, to provide more funding and resources to child care resources. Those are my two. And with that, that's the end of our announcements, and I'll move us to our minutes. We have 2 meetings of minutes to approve: the April 1st work session, as well as the April 8th regular session. Are there any adjustments that need to be made to either of those?
Second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Howerton, second by Commissioner Jacobs. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved 5-0. Now we'll move to our ceremonial items, and I will begin with our first one. It is a resolution for Arab American Heritage Month. The Durham Board of County Commissioners Resolution, Arab American Heritage Month 2024, whereas Arab American Heritage Month has been nationally recognized and celebrated since 2023 in acknowledgement of the contributions, achievements, and influence of the estimated 3.7 million Americans in the United States with Arab roots, and whereas since migrating to America, men and women of Arab descent have shared their rich culture and traditions with neighbors and friends, while also setting examples of model citizens and public servants. And whereas they brought with them to America their resilient family values, strong work ethic, dedication to education, and diversity in faith and creed that have added strength to our great democracy. And whereas Arab Americans have also enriched our society by sharing in the entrepreneurial American spirit that makes our nation free and prosperous. And whereas the celebration of Arab American ancestry and cultural heritage educates all Americans and counters misconceptions, harmful stereotyping, and shared abuses by other ethnic groups. And whereas Arab Americans join all Americans in the desire to see a peaceful and diverse society where every individual is treated equally and feels safe. And whereas the incredible contributions and heritage of Americans have helped us build a better nation. Now, therefore, I, Chair Nida Alam, on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2024 as Arab American Heritage Month in Durham County, North Carolina, and call upon all citizens to observe and celebrate the successes of Arab Americans and to mark this month with appropriate observances honoring endless possibilities of Arab Americans everywhere. This, the 29th day of April 2024, signed the entire board. And now I will pass it to the year of Ariel. Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'll be brief. Good evening. Thank you to our commissioners and to Dr. Sowell, our manager, for this resolution. As the Office of Equitable Wellbeing continues to write these resolutions and then continues to educate our community on Cultural and Heritage Months, I encourage everyone to continue to follow our website. That is where we post every month knowledge and awareness about what's happening in our local communities. We also post about what's happening at the national level. We post our internal programs as well as things that are happening in the community, because education is broad and it's not just about the awareness, but also doing something with it. So I applaud us for the doing that's happening in this space. So thank you, and we appreciate it on behalf of Equitable Wellbeing.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. I'm going to blame it on the heat.
It's hot.
Thank you so much for bringing this resolution to us to approve also, because I'm sure, as you know, but maybe other folks don't know, for Arab Americans, it's also very hard to be recognized because with the way that our census data is collected, there's not really actually a selection for Arab Americans. And that's why the MENA coalition, because typically Arab Americans are trying to decide, like, do we put white? Do we put Caucasian? And so there's actually been a lot of organizing by the MENA coalitions to try to have more representation in even census data, so we can have a better understanding and knowledge of what is the actual population and demographics of our Arab American community. Thank you. I'll now move us to the year of the aerial insectivore, which I believe I gave to Commissioner Carter.
You did give it to me, and I am so pleased to be the one that gets to read it. All right. Durham Board of County Commissioners Proclamation, Year of the Aerial Insectivore 2024. Whereas the term aerial insectivores refers to species of birds that eat insects while on the wing, including swifts, like chimney swifts, swallows, barn, tree, cliff, northern roughwing, and purple martin, nightjars, common nighthawks, whippoorwills, and chuck-wheel widows, and flycatchers. And whereas studies have shown that certain species of aerial insectivores have declined by more than 13% since 2012, as illustrated by the attached charts, and are projected to decline further. And whereas studies have shown that aerial insectivores, such as chimney swifts, consume as many as 5,000 insects per day per bird, including mosquitoes and flies. And whereas aerial insectivores inhabit all areas of Durham County, including urban and rural settings. And whereas many aerial insectivores live in colonies and many remain active in the evening after working hours, enhancing the appeal and ease of observing them. And whereas social events for viewing aerial insectivores have benefited local businesses by attracting viewers to commercial establishments for viewing events, and could benefit even more local businesses if better known. And whereas viewing nature has been shown to reduce stress and promote health. And whereas New Hope Audubon Society, a chapter of the National Audubon Society and its Durham partners, have created a blueprint for conservation of aerial insectivores in Durham that addresses loss of habitat in our community, promotes best practices for protection of habitat, and makes our community a richer, more biologically diverse, healthier place to live for all inhabitants, human, bird, and otherwise. And whereas knowledge of specific practices for conserving and protecting the populations of aerial insectivores would benefit from the designation of the Year of the Aerial Insectivore. Now, therefore, I, Nida Lam, Chair, and on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim 2024 as the Year of the Aerial Insectivore in Durham County, North Carolina, and encourage use of best practices for conserving aerial insectivores in Durham document that New Hope Audubon Society has submitted to the Durham City County Planning Department as its guide. This, the 29th day of April, 2024.
Thank you, Commissioner Carter. And thank you so much, Jennifer Maher, for joining us from the New Audubon Society.
Thank you so much for that beautiful reading of a mouthful, aerial insectivore. I'm tempted to call it AI, but that would be confusing too, and also to refer to swifts, but not that swift. But I think that rather long proclamation expresses what we are intending, both to protect birds, but also to bring to the public knowledge about them. And I invite everyone to look up in the sky in the evening when they hear twittering, or out in the fields if they're in the farmlands and open areas of Durham County, and see these things that live in colonies and sweep around grabbing insects as they fly. So please let me know, do you have any questions? Is there anything further that I can answer about this, other than please go out and look for birds and enjoy them? It is. It is. So our next proclamation addresses one method of helping to conserve birds. There are others for chimney swifts. They include uncapping chimneys. Now, people are afraid of things going down their chimneys, but these birds build the tiniest of nests that will disappear, and they do make noise in your chimney, but it's kind of fun to hear them in there. The other thing that's very important is to keep industrial chimneys, such as at schools and other buildings, open for the fall roosting of chimney swifts. They gather in hundreds, sometimes thousands of birds pouring into a chimney in a spiral late in the evening. These are the things that we've watched from the Durham Hotel and other places in special events. So yes, if you have no questions for me, we'll tee up the next. Yes.
Yes, thank you so much for bringing this to us. I was going to ask you if you could elaborate a little bit on the attached document about some of the things that people can do, because this is the kind of thing where everybody can participate.
Right. So we've installed some nesting boxes for one of the species, purple martins. One box is in the city park at Sandy Creek. We're hoping to encourage these birds to come, and we have viewing volunteers or just come out and see what's going on at these gourd boxes that are there and in other parts of Durham County, down at the shopping center that Barbara may mention. The chimney uncapping is important, although challenging to people because they're afraid of things going down the chimney. If you keep it open enough to keep to let these birds fly in, but you put a top that keeps the rain out, that's another way of providing nesting. The interesting thing about these birds is that they lived in large trees that existed in North America when the indigenous population was in charge, but were cut down for all of the industrial and farming activities once the Europeans arrived. And so they adapted to live purely in, almost purely, in human structures. And the purple martins were used by farmers probably for 100 years or more to help clear their areas of insects and their crops. So installing nest boxes, if you have the correct habitat, opening up your chimney, you can close it, you can build fires in October through April, they won't be there. Also, not using broadcast insecticides. Now, I know that's a challenge for people if they feel they're being bitten by insects, but you actually need to encourage these birds to help get rid of them. The insecticides do not kill mosquitoes effectively, and they kill everything else. And we depend, and the birds depend on insects for eating, and we depend on them for pollination, the beneficial ones. I think I've covered some of the things that were mentioned in that, but that is what we will be bringing to the public in events that we hope to have at libraries, at schools, and other activities during this year of the aerial insectivore. We have plans for paraphernalia that will have it on it, and in other ways of bringing it to the attention of the public. Did I answer your question? Or did I miss something?
I think the one thing is going to get mentioned in the next proclamation.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Carter?
Well, I just want to mention one thing that I have found to be so much fun related to birds that anyone could participate in if they would like to. And there has been a lot in the news lately about how listening to bird songs does improve one's state of relaxation and sort of mental well-being. Anyway, there is an app called Merlin, and when you're outside, I have a porch, and I just love to do this. I'll sit on my porch, and I'll hear birds, lots of birds, and I've really been trying to identify what I'm listening to. It has like sound ID. You press the little button, and then it starts listening for birds, and suddenly it'll tell you what you're listening to, and it is fascinating. And just the other night, I heard a great crested flycatcher. I have never heard this bird in my entire life, nor have I seen it yet, but it was just fascinating to hear this bird sound, not know what it was. It definitely wasn't a Carolina wren, and it wasn't a cardinal, and it wasn't, the ones I usually hear. And sure enough, it's a migrating bird. So it's like one of these ones that you're telling us about.
It's come in, and it's living here, and it's building its nest. It's a tricky little bird because it's a ventriloquist, so it's really hard to see. It's going to throw its voice, and
wow.
You have to look hard, but it's a beautiful bird that's out there. But very much one of the birds that we mentioned, a flycatcher. It's going to zoom out, catch insects, zoom back in.
Very cool.
And yes, that app is the gateway drug to birding. I have many friends who have just become interested in it because it's an opening to listen. I'm hearing this. Where is it? What is it? So I'm glad that you mentioned that. It's a really wonderful thing.
It is a wonderful app. I encourage people to give it a try.
Thank you. And before we go to Commissioner Jacobs to read the next one, Clerk Wallace, can we add the 2 attachments for these 2 resolutions to our announcements page as well, of ways for residents to participate and learn more about ways to conserve our bird population? Commissioner Jacobs?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Durham Board of County Commissioners Resolution, Lights Out Durham 2024. Whereas birds add beauty to our lives, contribute to our well-being, and contribute tremendous environmental significance by providing ecosystem services such as insect control and pollination of flowers and agricultural crops. And whereas every spring and fall, millions of migratory birds travel through and stop over in Durham. And whereas it is important to recognize this massive migration of birds occurs primarily at night, and whereas these birds must contend with a rapidly increasing but still under-recognized threat, light pollution. Light attracts and disorients these migrating birds, confusing them and making them vulnerable to collisions with buildings and other urban threats. And whereas with each passing season, light pollination continues to increase as Durham continues to grow, and more birds are at risk. And whereas bird glass collisions in the United States are estimated to cause as many as 1 billion bird deaths each year, these deaths are one of the factors most responsible for a 29% decline in North American bird populations since 1970. And whereas important insect pollinators are negatively impacted by light pollution, threatening their ability to successfully reproduce and pollinate. And whereas the United Nations Global Assessment Report on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services states that nature is declining globally at rates unprecedented in human history, and the rate of species extinctions is accelerating, with grave impacts on people around the world now likely, we are eroding the very foundations of our economies, livelihoods, food security, health, and quality of life worldwide. It is not too late to make a difference, but only if we start now at every level, from the local to global. And whereas scientific research indicates that artificial light at night has detrimental effects on human health and well-being. And whereas North Carolina cities, including our neighbors in Raleigh, Chapel Hill, Asheville, Winston-Salem, Charlotte, Cary, and Matthews, and 40 other cities across the country have Lights Out programs. And whereas the Lights Out program reduces light pollution, saves energy, reduces our carbon footprint, and improves outcomes for people, pollinators, and wildlife. And whereas Lights Out Durham is a voluntary initiative that aims to raise awareness of the issue in order to provide safe passage for migratory birds. And whereas simple measures such as using downward-facing lights and shielding above, the use of motion detectors, closing blinds and curtains, replacing blue light 6,000 K with warm light under 3,000 K outside, and turning off unnecessary lights at night will protect birds and other important pollinators. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Durham County Commission, do hereby support a Durham County Lights Out campaign and encourage all our residents, community partners, and business owners to help protect birds by turning off all non-essential lighting during the critical bird migration period, which is every night, March through May, and September through November, between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., to help ensure safe passage for migratory birds. This, the 29th day of April, 2024, and signed by all of our board. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank the commissioners for supporting New Hope Audubon's resolution for Lights Out Durham and the proclamation for 2024 as the year of the aerial insectivores. Peak migration is right now. It's April 26th through May 11th. Between 600,000 and 700,000 birds flew through our area just last night, which is incredible. Millions of birds are coming through every month. You can track the birds on birdcast.info. We would like to partner with the Durham County Sustainability Offices and the Cooperative Extension to publicize and communicate to residents and business owners the importance of protecting our birds during migration through a Lights Out program. We're happy to share communication items for social media with Durham County Public Information Offices. This is an area where all county employees could be made aware through a campaign that could include Lights Out at county buildings as well as at home. Lights Out not only protects birds, but also reduces energy consumption and saves money. And I really thank you guys for passing both of these, this resolution and the proclamation. Are there any questions about Lights Out? There are a number of communities within North Carolina that are already participating in this.
Thank you so much, Mr. Skull, for bringing this to us and for chairing the Audubon Society, and for this one and the previous resolution. We really appreciate it. Commissioner Jacobs?
Yeah, thank you both for these really excellent resolutions. And I know we have our Director of Cooperative Extension right here, Donna Rewalt, and she and her staff do a great job of sharing information. I know we have some library staff sitting here. That's another partner that comes to mind. And I'm sure that our Tobin Freed, our sustainability officer, could work with our staff about how we can model, the Lights Out campaign. I think, again, this is something that, people just aren't aware of, how that we can all play a role in helping migrating birds that are so important for our food, our whole way of life. And the fact that they do eat a lot of insects. I don't know how many people have noticed who's coming out right now. We have the 13-year cicadas. Yeah. I certainly noticed them yesterday in my yard and on my trees. And I think a lot of birds and other critters are going to really be enjoying having them around right now.
Lots of extra protein around.
Yes, a lot of extra food around right now. And also, I know you were going to submit these to the planning department as well.
Yes.
Okay, because I think as we look at updating some of our ordinances and about how we design things,
Yes. Yeah, we'll work with the planning department on updating, especially the landscaping and the design portions of the UDO.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Mr. Skull and Ms. Mayer, for bringing these to us and for your service. That brings us to our final proclamation for the night, the Alcohol Awareness Month. And Commissioner Howerton, you'll be reading this one.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. The Board of County Commissioners proclamation, Alcohol Awareness Month 2024. Whereas Alcohol Awareness Month is a national public health awareness campaign originally created by National Council for Alcoholism and Drug Dependencies, NCADD, within the aim of raising awareness for communities and to help understand the causes and treatment available, what is a leading national health issue. And whereas Alcohol Awareness Month also aims to reduce the social stigma associated with alcohol use disorder or alcohol use disorder, AUD. Educate people on how the disease can be addressed,
and offer help and advice for individuals and families living with AUD. And whereas, according to the 2019 National Survey on Drug Use and Health, nearly 15 million people ages 12 and under had AUD, and an estimated 414,000 adolescents aged 12 to 17 had AUD. 4.2 million people ages 12 to 20 reported binge drinking. And whereas, according to the North Carolina Youth Behavior Risk Survey, there has been a decrease in alcohol use among high school students from 2015 to 2021, from 35% in 2015 and 15% in 2021. 15%, and according to the North Carolina Injury and Violence Prevention Branch, the 60% overdose emergency room visits experienced by Black residents in Durham is due to the combination of alcohol and opioid. And whereas we know that individuals and families have experienced significantly increased stresses due to the prolonged trauma of the pandemic, creating fear, anxiety, have led to an increase in the use of alcohol. And whereas there should be no shame or blame placed on individuals and families struggling with an AUD. Now, therefore, I, Nita Alum, Chair, on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 2024 as Alcohol Awareness Month in Durham County, North Carolina, and commend its observance to all citizens in recognition of Together for Resilient Youth and other organizations working toward the prevention of alcohol use disorder in our community. This is the 29th day of April 2024.
Thank you, Commissioner Howerton. Thank you, Dr. Wanda Boone, for joining us today and bringing this resolution forward.
Thank you so much. I am very happy to be here to talk about alcohol awareness. And even though April was the month, this month, for alcohol awareness, it's something that we should be aware of throughout the years. Holding young people solely responsible for underage drinking is like holding fish responsible for dying in a polluted stream. Therefore, we believe that it's the adults that really need to take charge in terms of alcohol and the detrimental effects that it has on all members of our community. We're most we most know about underage drinking challenges such as drunk driving, but many of us don't know that there's certain cancers that are associated with alcohol consumption. And drinking responsibly is something that we should all do and think about. And of course, it's those high-risk alcohol consumption situations that are the most challenging and the most deadly. And so we don't, do anything to prohibit managers of convenience stores and gas stations from selling alcohol legally. But our Good Neighbor Business Network is aimed to bring convenience stores and gas stations into the fold. We have over 650 businesses that join with us in this effort. And what we do is we say that we know that you care as much about the community health and safety as we do. Therefore, they have become our partners in terms of obeying the laws that already exist. And they pay attention to community members and young people that go into convenience stores and thank them for doing their share. Some of them also provide prevention information to the public. So our processes are quite expansive. We've been around since 2003. I know I don't look like it, neither does my husband, but we've been around for a long time. And therefore, I'm really happy that we see a decrease in alcohol use among youth. However, what we have to understand, and many of us do, is that these challenges are connected. So when we think about gun violence, law enforcement tells us that the more violent crimes are happening when people are drunk, when they are high on alcohol. For young people, it's alcohol and marijuana. We understand that it's not the marijuana that's the issue in violence, but it is in terms of more violent crime. So we have to think about that. Also, you heard the data about opioids and use of opioids and how in the Black community, it's the impact of alcohol taken with opioids that is causing the increase in overdose. I asked, I'm slowing down, so I got data from the North Carolina Injury Prevention Branch, and so that's where I go for data, and the Durham data comes from that as well, there as well. And so suicides are associated with guns and associated with opioids. And so when we think about alcohol and the influence of alcohol on all the things that we want to prevent, it's not just about how much alcohol one consumes or just say no to alcohol. It's identifying the specific things that end up in these tragic situations with young people and members of our community. And very briefly, if I may, Natalia Rosales, who's one of our young people, who we spoke to 95 young people last week, if she could just say a few words. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Natalia Rosales. Oh, I apologize, you can't hear me. My name is Natalia Rosales. I am the LIFT leader. LIFT is a coalition, a part of TRI. LIFT leader of TRI and youth coordinator. So alcohol within the youth is pretty prevalent. As a person who goes to high school, I'm a senior this year and I'm graduating, and in those 4 years I've seen that seriously the main issue is the peer pressure of other students. When it comes to speaking peer-to-peer, it is easier to understand what those people are going through rather than an adult coming in and talking to a younger person. I've come to realize that a lot of young people are afraid, and they have issues at home that they're not ready to speak about, and some people don't trust school with their information, trust school with their feelings. So a lot of students turn to alcoholism, and then they turn to binge drinking. And what LIFT does, and what I've learned from LIFT, and thankfully I've been a part of this coalition since 2021. So the prevention aspect of LIFT and TRI has prevented me from ever thinking about getting into alcohol or getting into drugs or marijuana, because I've been taught and educated to know what these negative effects are. However, a lot of younger people do not know. They simply want the benefits. However, they are sold a lie from marketers who do intend to market to a younger audience, to teenagers. They are told that vaping or alcohol will take their stress away, when all it does is really increase it tenfold. And this month, as we would like it to be, is Alcohol Awareness Month. And in LIFT, it is the tip of our month, which is the topic that we share with other lifters that are within our coalition, so they can also be educated and prevent others and their own friends from trying alcohol. So I'm very grateful that you have recognized this month as Alcohol Awareness Month, and hopefully there will be less teens who have to suffer from the alcoholism. Thank you.
So again, thank you very much. Does anyone have Earl or? Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Anybody have any questions for us?
Thank you so much. And thank you again for bringing this resolution. I just want to thank you. Can you repeat your name again? Sorry.
Natalia Rosales.
Natalia, thank you so much. Me and Commissioner Jacobs actually just spoke on a panel over this weekend about mental health awareness and well-being within our schools, and what you're talking about is integral in those conversations. And thank you for carrying that weight of that peer-to-peer conversations, and weight you're carrying is also heavy. So thank you for doing that, and I look forward to having more conversations about how we can provide the students support in those conversations so that they're not carrying it alone. So thank you for raising that to us. I know Vice Chair Burns has a question.
Thank you. Okay, so one, as always, Dr. Boone, thank you so much for bringing these really timely resolutions to us. I know you bring them to other bodies, and they don't always take the care and diligence that you should take care of them like we try to do here. I always learn something when you bring something forward. I do have two questions, and I almost want to say you can get back to me, but I would like for you to answer them now, because look, ladies, do not take this the wrong way. Do not. We did spend 25 minutes talking about birds, so I don't think it's unfair for me to want to talk about alcoholism in kids. I do love birds and bees. You know, without bees, no agriculture, we don't eat, so it's timely. But we can talk about those things, but we can't talk about Edna Spalding and a lot of other things that I think are important to this board. And also for the public who's been texting me, don't worry, this board will never be able to use Edna Spalding's name or her likeness again. I've taken the steps, but I digress. On this same agenda, I wanted to throw out to you, I hate that Angela Nunn might not be here, but it's really sad that in our school systems, and Natalia, thank you so much for coming up. I would like to learn more about LIFT. When we do our program assessments with the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, we've had certain principals, and thank God those principals are no longer able to deal with our educators in this school who will say, all right, you cannot come back to school, you cannot come back to a Durham public school until you have finished this class on alcoholism. Y'all, there is not a class on alcoholism for young people in Durham that is not multiple weeks. So if a kid is caught with Pabst Blue Ribbon or Miller High Life, they are missing multiple, not drugs, but just, you know, but we want to talk about law enforcement as opposed to talking about the people who thought it was okay to call law enforcement on a kid that had a beer, but I digress. So we've gotten rid of a lot of those folks who think let's criminalize kids and let them miss a month of school. So I am happy about that we're bringing this forward, but I'm curious because when I was in school, you had Booze It or Lose It. You had Click the Ticket. You had these national campaigns, and so we don't have those things anymore. And in your volunteered expertise and your professional opinion, like what is something that we should be doing in each one of our schools? Because it seems that everybody, and you know this from opioid, for those of you all who are looking at our agenda tonight, we have some things on there for C.C. Spalding. We got some stuff on there for cooperative extensions. I see Knox Street Studios in the house. I know we got some stuff on there for RTP, CU Track. There's a million things on this budget. We have something for the new opioid manager. But what are some things that we should be doing collectively and be thinking about so that we can get kids back in the mindset of prevention as opposed to harm reduction? Because you're right, the only thing we've been focused on is harm reduction, because there's been folks falling dead that don't look like you and me, Dr. Boone. Like, let's just be honest. So what are some things that we should be thinking about?
Thank you so much for that question. I will say this. In times past, young people were suspended for using tobacco on campus. These are students that were addicted to nicotine. Adults get addicted to nicotine. And when they try to quit, anybody who's been through that knows how difficult it is. So I went to the school board and I said, we can do this. There's a program, and I think it can be done for other substances as well. So there is a program where a young person can go through this online process, not only to recover from that addiction, but also to understand what this is, how it happened, those kinds of things. And so what we did was to have mentors go through that course with the student and the parent and they didn't get suspended. That's the point. They didn't get suspended. So that's one thing. It's very simple to do. So I think the common belief is that a young person uses substances because they want to. They use substances generally because they're curious, and that doesn't make it less illegal. But what it does do is to help our thinking in terms of what a young person is capable of. So we do not discriminate who are members of LIFT. If they have a challenge with a substance, whether it's alcohol, tobacco, marijuana is treated the same as tobacco, or opioids, they may need further treatment. But that doesn't mean that they can't go through an initial process like SBIRT, screening, brief interventions, referral to treatment. Screening means you give them a little bit of information and you identify whether they need something else. So you move the majority of young people off that list. Then you have the next group of young people that would be brief intervention. A brief intervention is exactly what it says. Like within an hour, a brief intervention can determine where that child is in terms of their mental health and their use of substances. So you move those into that 1 hour space, and then you're left with a small group of young people that actually need treatment. And so, that's what we suggest. So we don't suggest going straight to suspensions because we know how discrimination also works in terms of suspensions. So that is what we offer, and that is what we think would be helpful. The same with vaping. There were 4 fifth graders that were on a playground, and they had a vape product. And let me just say that using vapes, that little pod is 20 cigarettes in that one pod. Anyway, I digress. And so the question wasn't, why do you have this? Where did you get it from? The police were called, and the one little girl, in Durham. Okay, so, and that wasn't necessary. It's necessary because these things are illegal, yes, but think about the fact that the adolescent brain doesn't fully develop until someone is 25 years of age. So if they're in elementary, middle, high school, then there are other paths that can be taken, so.
Thank you so much. I'm done, but I just want to reiterate, we give so much to the authorities. Somebody got to call them. Somebody thought it was a good idea to call the police on a child with a cartridge. Just want to throw that out for public consumption. But thank you for those options, and I hope we can work on some other things. I know other people have questions, and I'm going to stop there.
I hope so.
Commissioner Howerton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Boone, thank you for this presentation. My question is that I'm trying to remember, you started with this, was back in 08, 09?
Way back, yes.
Yeah, it's been going a long time. And my question has to do with the age of the young people that you see and increase in the alcohol. Have you seen an increase in the age difference? Are they starting younger? What are you seeing?
Yeah, so the age for initiation of alcohol use is usually around 11 years of age. Now, think about the fact that where do they get it from? Home. And so there's nothing wrong with people having alcohol in their homes if that's what they choose to do, but they should lock up or monitor their alcohol. The same with opioids, pills. They should be locked up, period. Guns should be locked up. So it's the same principle. And connected to that is when does a child, and because it is connected, when does a child first start glorifying gang activity? If we don't do something before they're 8 years old, then by the time they are 12, then they start thinking about gangs, glorifying that behavior, taking music and media more seriously. So so according to the data, we have to start at, if not before 8 years old, then that's when. So the thing that I wanted to point out in the resolution was that alcohol consumption has gone down. I'm thrilled about that. We're working on that as well as others. Across the state, the data is staggering. We're in a good place, but we need to do better.
Thank you. Commissioner Carter?
Thank you, Dr. Boone, and Earl, Dr. Earl, and Natalia, and are you, and Natalia's mother,
Yes,
maybe, or
Nancy.
yes, Dr. Boone. I think you're one of our most quintessential public health professionals, and the work you do in this community has really made a difference, and it's really clear from the data in this resolution. I feel so proud for you for the work you've done around the businesses, the friendly, what's the name of that?
Good neighbor business.
The good neighbor businesses. I mean, it's really made a difference.
Yes.
Look at that data. 30, yeah, just an incredible reduction in underage drinking, and I bet that has had a lot to do with it. Anyway, thank you for being so steadfast in carrying the flag for prevention.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, all of you. Thank you.
Commissioner Jacobs?
Yes, I just wanted to chime in my gratitude for everything that you have helped lead in this community. I do want to recognize also your husband as part of the team, and also Natalia's mom too, because I see you out all the time in the community as well. So thank you all. And yeah, I also want to just lift up the point in the resolution around what we're seeing around overdoses in the Black community. That is something that Dr. Boone really raised the awareness around this issue, what is happening in the Black community and that link between opioids and alcohol. Yeah, we have a lot of work to do in our community, and clearly you all are helping us and leading the way, so thank you. I'm grateful.
Thank you. And Commissioner Jacobs and I are co-chairs of Durham Joins Together Task Force to prevent opioid overdose, and then, as far as I'm concerned, prevention of all substance use. Last thing, we work with the recovery community, which I think is really important. So more than harm reduction, which I think is necessary, the recovery community and Prevention Tri work together in events and other things to uplift them as they uplift us. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. I think we're going on 7 years now, and we're still talking to each other.
You and I are the. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Uh-oh.
Did you want to say something?
Oh, yeah, she does. Uh-oh, sorry, y'all. Oh,
Did you
I don't
want to-
mean I'm sorry, but, we've taken a lot of time.
Did you want to speak?
If it's okay.
Yes.
All I want to say is thank you, Dr. Wanda Boone, for everything you've done for
Okay.
the youth community living in future tense, and not only for the youth community, but also for adults, parents, moms, single moms, and dads. And the reason I say this is because the education that Tribe provides is not just for the youth, it's also for the adults. Because as Dr. Boone mentioned, it starts at home, and it does start by educating our kids as young as 8, if not even younger. Why? Because if they don't learn it at home or at a safe space as living in the future tense, as Natalia did, I really don't know where will my kid be with this knowledge. And I appreciate you very much, Dr. Wanda Boone.
Thank you.
Thank you. And And most importantly, prevention, it also begins with the adult, like I just mentioned, and the education has been very, very, very much appreciated in the community in Durham and around the area that I've engaged with so many families that are very appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much again. That concludes our ceremonial items for today and brings us to our consent agenda. And I know that there's one item that we'll have to pull, 24-0241, for a separate vote for Commissioner Carter, because she serves as the liaison for the Arts Council. Are there any other items, Commissioner Howerton?
Madam Chair, I'd like to pull 24-045 and add that to our work session coming up, our next work session.
Okay, that's item 24-0245.
Yes.
I'll just read that so folks know which one it is.
We have 245.
Yeah, 0245.
Is there a reason why it's being pulled?
Yes, this has not been, we have not had an opportunity to discuss this at a work session, and it is so much information and so vital that I'd like to have it pulled so we have an opportunity to discuss it.
Respectfully, we have discussed this one, just to clarify.
No.
Yes, we have, and there's 3 people nodding. I'm with you. I would be more than happy for them to present. You're talking about the Knox Street Studio. So during the ARPA update, we've had 3 conversations, and I hear you, I do, but we gave out we did 2 grants. One was $1.5 million that went to Ford Cities, and this $750,000.
Commissioner Burns,
Well,
would you allow the chair to respond to this, to my request, please?
Well, we're in discussion now, so she can respond after I get done discussing. But just really quick,
I made the request to the chair.
which needs to be voted on by 3 people.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney Massey,
I
the
can
discussion
pull-
would be after the vote to pull it? Well, it wouldn't be voted to pull.
I can make a request to pull any item, and that's what I'm asking, is to pull this item
Don't nobody vote for
and have a presentation and a discussion at the work session. That's my request.
Well, let's see if you get a second.
Well, it doesn't need a second because if you're pulling an item, then it needs to be pulled, yeah.
Okay. I didn't have the
You're good.
guidance. I'm going to be honest. Usually, when there is a request to pull an item, it's not voted on.
Yeah.
It's really just been a request to the chair. That doesn't mean it cannot be discussed by the board if there's a difference of opinion. But it has traditionally, but I've never seen one that's been opposed.
And I think we'll move that discussion is usually moved to after we vote and approve the rest of the consent items, then we can have this further discussion about those. So I'll proceed with that. Are there any other items that need to be pulled?
Mine is just a question. It's about another item. I know that we have Senator on the legislative items. Do we not have anybody on the House side who is also a sponsor? It's just a quick yes or no. We don't have to pull it.
Which item number? Oh, the approval of
Yeah,
3 emergency.
which I'm good with those items. It's just if we don't, we need somebody on the House side to sponsor while we're doing, because the agenda just says Mike Wood, which is fine. And I know Natalie's also working on the transit fee, but who on the House side is working on it?
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you, Deborah Craig-Ray, Chief Communications Officer. I was simply sharing the direct conversations that I've had with our senior senator.
Right.
And I did not add in additional conversations with other members. Again, we were trying to get these items moved forward since session began on Wednesday. The House will go back in tomorrow, and I'm sorry, the Senate will go back in tomorrow and the House on Wednesday. So we were just trying to get these items moved.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying, 3 weeks ago, when we sat right here and we did the legislative meeting, and we can move forward, I just want to point out that we did talk, and Zach, Representative Hawkins was sitting here and said, what do I need on the House side? So I just want to give directions to staff. I'm not going to hold this up, but somebody needs to sponsor this on the House side.
And yes, we understand that, and we will be working on that. I'm working with our lobbyists on that, but thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Okay. Are there any other items? Okay. If not, then I will move for, did you have an item?
Oh, I was just going to move.
Okay, move for approval of the consent agenda excluding items 24-0241 and 24-0245.
Second, or move, I
Second.
make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Vice Chair Burns. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The consent agenda has been approved, excluding those two items listed. And now we'll move to, we'll come back to it after the board and commission appointments. So I'll allow Attorney Massey to do that.
All right. By vote of the members of the board, the Citizens Advisory Committee, you've selected Joycelyn Horn. For the Durham County Hospital Corporation Board of Trustees, you have selected the following community representatives: Denise Barnes, Pat Ashley, Valerie Jarvis, and Jane Brown. For the Hospital Corporation Board of Trustees, you've selected community physician representative Margeba, I hope I got that right, Cole. And for the Durham Open Space and Trails Commission, you've selected Taylor Blauser.
Thank you, Attorney Massey. Thank you so much to all the residents who applied for these boards and commissions and who've signed up to serve. And folks, please keep an eye out. We have over 40 boards and commissions, so we're constantly looking for people to serve in different capacities. And we'd love for you to continue to find different ways to participate. That brings us back to now items pulled from the consent agenda. I'm going to start with 24-0241, because this one should be simple. This is an item that just needed to be pulled because Commissioner Carter serves as the Arts Council liaison, and so she loves to make it difficult for us. And so I will entertain a motion for approval of that one.
Madam Chair, so moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Vice Chair Burns, seconded by Commissioner Jacobs. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any abstained? Aye. Any noes? Okay. The ayes have it 4-1-0, with one abstention for Commissioner Carter. And now that brings us to item 24-0245. There was discussion around this one. Commissioner Howerton requested that we move this to the work session for further presentation and discussion.
Ma'am?
Yes.
If I could.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I was taking a look at the rules. Essentially what Commissioner Howerton has asked is she is moving to continue the item to the May 6th work session. As I say, traditionally when somebody's asked to pull something off, usually it's for question or a separate vote. If there is opposition to her motion, then yes, it's not a matter of consent by the board. Now it is a question of, does the motion to continue get a second? There can be debate, and then a motion on the request to continue the matter, if you don't want to do it as a matter of comity.
This will take me 2 seconds. Go ahead.
I'll let Commissioner Jacobs go, and then.
I just have a question, because maybe Commissioner Howerton wasn't here when this was presented, and I don't know if, I know that the folks are here from Knox Street, and maybe if they could answer any specific questions that you might have. Is it something where you just would like to ask some questions from staff or from them, or?
I have only missed one meeting. That was on the 8th of a board meeting. And I do not remember, and maybe it's been a long time since this was presented to us by staff. And
as I'm looking at the number of what we are providing, this is a $750,000 amount here. And as I read through the information, I really couldn't understand all of the money that we're being given, that's being given to a nonprofit. I want to understand what I'm voting for. And that was not there that I could understand. I wanted to be able to ask questions to the awardee as to why we're giving $750,000.
And since the awardee is here,
But I
would
have a
you?
question, but go
one
ahead.
second. As Commissioner Jacobs mentioned, since they're here, the Knox Street Studios individuals,
Yeah,
would
if
you like
want-
to take that opportunity
if
to
you-
ask them?
If you want to if they can we want to take the time tonight to get clear about this is fine. I didn't think that the board normally would do a presentation of what an item was. That usually we do it at a work session. Now, if the chair says, this is not up to the vice chair, and you keep interrupting the chair.
I think
Would you please allow me to address the chair?
So the reason I was suggesting that is since there has been a presentation on this, and this is for more further question, having that opportunity for you to ask questions. If you would like to do that at this moment, we can also see if there is support to move it to the work session, but if you, since the Knox Studios individuals are here.
Now, I know the rules about policy and procedure. If there is 3 people that want to move the item and not have me have an opportunity to understand it, then I will vote no, and you can just move on. Simple as that.
So you don't want to ask questions now?
I would like to be prepared for this item.
Question, Brent?
Yeah, really quick, and that's right, because they were not, I don't even know if they were prepared. I do want to do something, and somebody's going to have to correct me, so again, I'm going to be civil about this. I want folks to understand, this is, two things have occurred here. A couple of months ago, Claudia or Keith or somebody's going to have to give me the dates. This is not the first time this item has been on work session or regular session. You all were here. I know your president was here because I remember they sit over there, the executive director. So when we first gave you all this grant, so we did 2. We did $1.5 million for Ford Cities. We did $750,000 for Knox Street Studios. I remember that night. This is merely us. So we've already approved this. I want to be very clear. And Claudia, you helped me figure out what night it was. So we've already approved this. It's just at this point, I think between Knox Street, so last week, 2 weeks ago, we moved forward with Ford Cities because we finished the contract. Thank you, Andy. Come on up because the RFP was under your office. So we moved forward with Ford Cities a couple of weeks ago because we finished their contract. If I'm not mistaken, this week we finished Knox Street's contract. So these have already been voted on in 2 previous regular sessions and a previous work session. And this is merely us saying, all right, we have made it. But it's a question. Hold on. It's a question.
Madam Chair.
Hold on.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair.
But,
Madam Chair,
you.
this is a conversation that I'm asking for clarification.
I have a question.
I'm not asking my colleague for clarification. I'm asking for this board to understand that I need clarification. I don't need my colleague.
Okay. I understand. Hold on. 1 second, Commissioner.
Can we do
Commissioners, 1 second. Yes.
No,
May I finish my sentence?
You can, but I wasn't even finished.
I know. I'm trying to help you right now.
So what I'm saying, why can't we do both? Why can't they vote? We vote on it tonight and they still come
Anyways,
back.
Andy, there was a question posed to you. If you want to answer that question.
We gave a $1.5 million to a white group, but not $750 to a black group. I just want that on camera.
Yes, absolutely. Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to add some context here. So Andy Miracle, Director of Economic Development. So we did bring the items in December, I believe December 11th. That was giving us the action to be able to negotiate the 2 awards, one for Forward Cities, one for Knox Street Studios, to provide some additional background. Additionally, We were only intending to offer one award, and then after we saw the quality of the applications presented, we decided to move forward with a secondary award as well. So that the primary award of Forward Cities was approved at the last meeting in March, and so that was the second action, right? The first action in December was to allow us to negotiate. The second action in March and then tonight would be to approve the award.
Thank you, Andy. Do you have a question for him?
Yeah,
Okay.
so Andy, I remember Ford Cities, that conversation. So the conversation that I wanted to have with staff is to get clarification about the amount that we are affording around staff. Is the whole 700, I don't have my computer with me tonight. The whole $750,000, is that for staff?
So for both awards, for the $1.5 million and for the $750,000 award, we're allocating 50-50, 50% for staff and then 50% for pass-through. And so for each of the awards, those pass-through dollars will be kind of different, but they will be going to third parties. So only a maximum of half of the funds are allocated to go towards staff cost.
So I don't have my computer with me. I left it in the car. Can I see yours? So
But can I just add a point? And I think what's also confusing is this board has received a presentation from Forward Cities before.
We have.
It wasn't specifically about this item, but Forward Cities has come before this board before and talked about their work. I think where the confusion is coming is I don't recall Knox Studios ever coming before this board before. So maybe we bring Forward Cities and Knox Studios to the board to talk about what they plan to do and how they plan to utilize the ARPA funds, because
That's fair if you're going to bring both, but what we're not going to do is hold the black people to task for getting less than what the white group got. And I'm going to say that on camera, because that's just not fair to me. And I'm with you. I have no problem with both of them being at work session, but we gave a white group that's national $1.5 million. A black group got $750,000, and we are holding them hostage. So that's all I'm saying.
So I will then ask, with that clarification from Manager Sowell, I will ask the board if there is anyone interested in making a motion to continue this item to the work session.
I make that motion.
Okay. Do we have a second? Seeing no second, then a motion is not passed, so we will vote on this item tonight. However, Commissioner Carter?
I mean, and in the spirit of trying to, help all of us get the information that we need, I would like to go along with what I feel like Manager Sowell may have been suggesting. We go ahead and approve the item tonight, but then have both groups come back and do a presentation for us to try to help us be sure we fully understand what's being done with the money. So I guess that would be my motion.
Okay, so moved for approval.
I'll second that motion.
Same, third.
Moved by Commissioner Carter, seconded by Commissioner Jacobs. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I oppose.
The item 24-0245 passes 4-1, and we will have continued conversation about this at our next work session on May 6th. Yeah. With both Knox Studios as well as Forward Cities joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that brings us to the end of our regular agenda, and now moving into our closed session. The board has requested to adjourn into closed session to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment, or conditions of initial employment of an individual public officer or employee or prospective public officer or employee, or to hear or investigate a complaint, charge, or grievance by or against an individual public officer or employee pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A6. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved, Madam Chair.
So moved.
Moved by Vice Chair Burns, seconded by Commissioner Howerton. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we are in closed session with a 5-0 vote. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for our regular session. Drive home safe.